Hi everyone, I'm Zach Becerra.
And I'm Alex. Welcome to News.
So this past month has been mostly a never-ending cycle of AMS elections. It was really long, all 3 weeks of it, and finally we're done. So a bunch of people got elected, but more importantly, a number of very important referendum questions passed, including the increase in funding for SAS from $3.63 to now more than $9 per student.
The federal government also released its latest round of budget reports, which show that there's going to be hundreds of millions of dollars pouring towards funding for Indigenous students, graduate students, and for undergraduate research at universities, including Ubyssey.
Lucy, who's the men's soccer coach?
Mike Mosher.
Name a star player on the women's hockey team.
Tori Miklish.
Who is the hottest athlete?
Oh God. Welcome to sports. This month in varsity sports, 2 Thunderbird teams headed to national championships. The men's basketball team headed to Halifax, while the women's volleyball team headed to Edmonton. While the men's basketball team finished in 5th, it was the women's volleyball team who took home gold, winning against Ryerson. Kira Van Ryk was also named tournament MVP and also U Sports Women's Volleyball Athlete of the Year. Over with the baseball team, the program retired the number 16 jersey of alum and MLB pitcher Jeff Francis on March 9th.
Welcome to Features. This month in Features, coordinating editor Samantha McCabe sat down with Dr. Jamie McCasland, an assistant professor in the Vancouver School of Economics who recently advised on Beto O'Rourke's campaign. She couldn't confirm whether she'd be back on the presidential trail with Beto this year, but while she's back at Ubyssey, she's doing a lot of great work working on representation of women and young women in economics. News editor Zach also did a deep dive into how Canvas is collecting and tracking your data and what Ubyssey is doing with it. What he did find was pretty shocking, and it could mean a slippery slide into an invasion of privacy.
Welcome to Blog and Opinion. This month was the AMS elections, which was definitely a ride, but it gave us a lot of really interesting opinions content. We got a letter saying why you should vote yes on the Sask referendum, which did eventually pass, as well as an op-ed from our news editors, Zach and Alex, saying why you should give a shit about all this, because it affects you, it impacts all of us. March had a lot of great content for the Dingbat, our humor column, including a great piece by Tate Gamble called To All the Boys I've Seen on Campus and Never Seen Again, as well as a piece by Bridget Chase, our culture editor, about being a UBC call center donation getter. And they're both funny. They both made me laugh.
What can I say? It's a cult. Speaking of which, welcome to Culture. March was AMS elections, so while news was covering the important stuff, From the Cult got to cover all the silly things that the candidates did and all the silly things that the candidates said. This month we also covered the Hatch Gallery's exhibit of the AMS art collection. For those who don't know, the AMS has an art collection, and even though they rarely ever show it in public, some of the art was at the Hatch. One of our writers did an expose on not only what the art was, but also how the AMS could possibly diversify the collection going forward. Last but not least, this month we had our annual Indigenous Wikipedia Editathon. Basically what that means is a bunch of great people got together and updated and edited Wikipedia articles about Indigenous authors. You can read about all of this and more online in the culture section.
Oh, hi there. Welcome to Science. This month in Science, we covered the development of a new cancer probe. And this is a new probe for skin cancer that has 4 different detectors instead of the typical one, so it can return a diagnosis faster, and it's made of low-cost materials, which makes it much more accessible. We also covered UBC Young Women for Science's first annual Women in STEM conference. And the conference featured speakers from Ubyssey and other institutions across the Vancouver area and touched on some of the common barriers to women's participation in science and ways to overcome those barriers.